What's up, guys? So I'm gonna be honest with you, this mod was a bit more involved than I was expecting it to be. I was expecting that I could just get a Honda manufactured sun visor that fits in this car that is wrapped in the nice material that the Accord visors are made of, but that didn't happen. They don't even offer one. Not even on the Acura ILX. How annoying is that? So while the light and wiring for the light were very easy to install, the wrap itself I wasn't able to do myself. I had to actually take this visor to a seamstress to get it wrapped. If you're more confident in sewing and want to try this, go at it, be my guest. I'm not going to stop you, but just saying, it's not as easy as a swap as I thought it was going to be. Anyway, here's what the finished product looks like. It's really nice. This is, like, I can't believe they don't offer this in the Acura, but I guess without further ado, sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. What's up, guys? Aiden here for Civic Minded. Today we are finally doing the much awaited sun visor install. So I think this video is going to be part of a two-part series here. So part one, I'm going to wire up the wires necessary to add an illuminated sun visor to the car, and part two, I'm going to actually modify a sun visor to have the connector that plugs into the car so you can get a lighted mirror in here, and B, take this vinyl off to get a nicer material. So two videos, I'm going to use these opening clips in both of them, so whichever one you clicked on, well, that's what we're going to do today. The first thing we're going to need to remove are the old visors, and these are probably the hardest things to get out of this entire job. Well, this part's easy. In the United States, you can just turn this, it'll come out. Here's the European style. Presumably just grab a flathead screwdriver, tiny one wrapped in tape maybe. Push these tabs in, or two flathead screwdrivers I guess. Push these tabs in, pull it down, it'll come out. But to get this hinge off, what Honda did was they have a little notch here. I don't know if you can see that, but when the visor folds in, see that little tab there? Let me reorient myself. See that little tab there? That has to be pushed in as we're turning the visor this way before the latch holding the hinge in will come out. Okay, so we're just gonna push that in. You can see I've already done this a few times. Don't panic. This is a kind of a learning curve here. But you see we got that in, and now that area is cleared. The sun visor will fold down. You can see how that works there. I know I'm going to get some questions about this, so I'm going to try to explain it as best I can to the best of my knowledge. There are two versions of the sun visor that went into this car that I know of. There's this one from my car, from the sedan in the US, and this one which came out of a hatchback in Europe that has a light already. They are not interchangeable. The mirrors that go into them are not interchangeable. However, if you're looking to add lights to a US mirror or a sedan mirror in Europe, again, someone will probably tell me in the comments. I don't know if those have lights already in the sedan, or if they're even the same style as the US sedan, that and the coupe were the only ones available in the US. The mirror that does fit, that has a light, is from the Acura ILX, from this, so the 2013 to 2016 Acura ILX. And to make it fit, we're gonna need to take this mirror out. It's really easy to get out, and put it in place of this mirror here. We've already got a hole cut in here. We don't have a hole in the styrofoam, but we'll be able to make one. This is the padding material I'm going to be adding, and this is the material I'm going to be wrapping the visors in. It is polyester-based velvet. Make sure you get something that's good for upholstery, so something that can withstand the heat. I wouldn't recommend withstand the heat, listen to me. Withstand the elements of being inside a car. I wouldn't recommend a silk velvet, A, because it's pricey as hell, and B, because it won't be able to tolerate having an open car door that well. Also, if you want to keep your car street legal, or sell legal, I guess you could say, you're going to need to get some of these. I got these on eBay. They are for Mercedes-Benz. You can't get them from Honda directly, so eBay is probably your best bet with these. Get two of them if you're doing both visors. Also, this visor, the Acura visor, you can't get just the mirror by itself, at least not to my knowledge. So, and this visor new is around $100 from Acura. I'll leave a part number on screen. So I would recommend going to eBay for that as well. I got this one for $40. I got the other side for $40. So save yourself the money. You'll be getting it for less than the price of one new visor. So if we're doing the whole package, we're doing the wrap and we're doing the light installation, first thing we got to do, well, actually, regardless of whether we're doing one of those or both of those, first thing we got to do is take the mirror out. Do not try to pry on this mirror with a pry tool because you will break it. You will get 7 years of bad luck. Ask me how I know that. Instead, these little feet here, they lift up to reveal Phillips head screws. There's 2 of them, 1 on each side. It's the same setup on the Acura mirror, as you can see. So loosen those, mirror will come right out. If you're wrapping this style of visor, you don't have these feet. Instead, you see there's a little notch on the light down here. Pry that up, it will reveal 2 similar Phillips head screws. This comes out, and then there's a tab holding it. There's a tab holding the mirror in on this side. So you're gonna wanna remove those screws, pull the mirror sort of like this, and then slide it out. This style, you're gonna wanna pry up from down here. Let's do that now. So I just loosen those screws. See, it does kind of click, and then it just comes right out. And that could be a part number. Not sure. I haven't been able to find it. But this now reveals our plastic frame, I would assume, and the styrofoam backing plate. So next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna attempt to get this old material off. Now, to get the new material on, you are gonna have to sew it. Or, yeah, you are gonna have to sew it. If you're confident enough, you can sew it yourself. This is not a tutorial on how to sew. There's plenty of those out there. What I'm gonna be doing for mine is I found a seamstress that was willing to do this, so I'm just gonna go to her, and I will definitely show you some of the process if I can. But for now, let's take this old material off. Try to keep it in one piece, if at all possible. And also start on the passenger side, just because you won't totally be screwed if you're driving into the sun and you do this on the driver's side. And these visors are not that expensive. They're like $25, but why spend that if you don't have to? So try not to damage them. All right, the best tool for this is an X-Acto knife. Be very careful with it. So there's that, and here's what we're left with. There is some tape here. I'm gonna try to take this off. We'll see what's under here. See if the styrofoam comes apart, because that would be swell. Yeah, there's nothing under there. There's just an access hole for this latch here. That might actually be where we want to run our wires. I'm thinking it's gonna be this hole, but we're gonna have to wrap our padding over the styrofoam. Shouldn't be terrible. So that said, let's get the light out of this visor. Comes out exactly the same as before. Now there's 2 ways you can handle this. You can either desolder these, which if you've got the other style I showed you, there's probably a, what do you call these? You have some of these. I don't think audio connector is the proper name, but you will have some of these on those terminals. You can just pull them off. These are soldered on. You could desolder them if you wanted to, but what I'm gonna do, just so I don't have to get any extra wire, and that since I'm not using this connection, I'm gonna clip this off. And we're just gonna pull this out this way, and if we lift this, you'll see there's a piece of tape covering a channel there. I think I am correct. I think that piece of tape that we saw in my visor, that's where we're gonna have to run our wires into. Those just snake out really easily. You see these little channels here that they sit in. You'll wanna pry them from that, and then you can just pull the wires straight out of the loom, and you've got yourself a lighted mirror. Awesome. So next you're gonna want to use something like a box cutter, again, being very careful not to cut yourself. Cut a channel that leads from the start of your visor here, or I should say like the start of the mirror area, we'll call it, up to your hinge here. You should then be able to, there's a hole at the edge of the hinge here. You should just be able to push the wires through and they'll sprout right there. It might be easier for them to come through if we remove this latch here, so I'm gonna go try that now. So this E-clip here just comes out with like a little flathead screwdriver, pry tool, something like that. Maybe even, this is like a jewelry grade screwdriver, I'm talking tiny. And then this piece, once that's gone, this piece, you can simply pry up and this piece will come out. And that should make it easier to run these wires. I'll let you know if it does. So that went in really easy. So you're gonna wanna just push the wires through that hole, like really push them. They're not gonna get stuck. This pink stuff is lubricant. God, why did I just say that? And they should crown here. They may get stuck if they crown. If that happens, recommend that you get the thinnest set of needle nose pliers you can find. Again, I think these are meant for jewelry. Just pull them. They will come out and we will have that. So I think we're done with the wiring. So with that, let's go get them wrapped. All right, you probably didn't need to take this out, but if you did, reinstalling it is very simple. So just slide this piece back on, rotate it until it clicks, kinda. It's not gonna click like you're taking the sun visor out, at least I hope it doesn't. No, it shouldn't. And then this piece here, grab a thicker Phillips, or what the hell? Grab a thicker needle nose pliers than you were using before. Get it started so that it's all the pieces that go into the plastic are going into hollow pieces of plastic, because there is a solid piece on the side here. Once you have it in that position, just take your pliers, squeeze it, and it'll pop right back in. Also, wires, make sure you run these before you, and I would also recommend that you sort of jerry-rig this in there, put the screws back in and just test fit it, make sure it actually works. I just did that, and it fits fine. Hi. So I was able to get some still photos of the process. Here's a quick walkthrough, a quick run through, whatever you want to call it, of what happened, how we got the cover on. So first you want to use the old visor material or the visor itself to trace and cut the padding to the correct shape. You'll want a padding about 1/4 inch thick. I thought it would need to be thicker, but it turned out the styrofoam was staying on, so 1/4 inch is what you want. Assuming you're doing this, assuming you have all your styrofoam. Next, you're going to want to lay some transparent paper on top of the visor and trace both the visor and the mirror so you know where to cut the padding for the mirror. You can use the newly cut material to trace where to make the cuts for the other visor, just remember to mirror it. Next, use a spray adhesive to quote-unquote glue the padding to the visor. It doesn't need to be super strong since it'll be held in by the material that the visor is being wrapped in, but this is going to prevent it from moving around as we trace that material out. So, assuming you used 1/4 inch thick padding, your visor thickness will be about 1 inch, so you'll want about 1/2 inch of extra wrap material on the sides. You'll also want about 1/2 inch seam allowance, that is 1/2 inch between the edge of the material and where you're sewing it together. You'll want to sew with the ugly quote-unquote side out, that is the side that won't be visible on the visor. For my wrap, we use two pieces of material to cover both faces of the visor. That's probably the easiest way to do it. Make sure you use needles to hold the two faces together as they're being sewn. You can use a machine to sew them together, it's probably easiest. Just don't sew the top half, because that's what we're going to slip the visor in over. Once that's done, test fit the visor and make sure it's snug. As you might be able to see, the right edge fit a bit loosely, so we had to re-sew it. And that's why I always want to use extra material, kids. Once you've confirmed the test fit is snug, cut slits in the corners of the material on the quote-unquote ugly side. This will make sure that there's no waviness, or it'll make sure that the curves are straight when the visor goes in. You can test fit it with the mirror screwed in, or you can tape it in. Remember that the mirror needs to go over the material, so leave some extra material there as well. To keep the padding from moving around, wrap the visor in a plastic bag and cut it out afterwards. And here's what that should look like. Make sure you cut some slits in the mirror corners and the hinge area so you have the same nice smoothness. You'll need to hand sew the top of the visor, so make sure you pick a material you can get a needle through. And don't be afraid to use too many needles to hold it together. Once you've got one done, the other one should be as easy as changing oil, or easy as pie, if that's your preferred analogy. And we're back. Here's what we're left with. It is beautiful wow, you would expect this in an Acura. But one thing we gotta transfer from the Acura visor, and that's this little heat shield right here. It should be easy enough to just peel it up, take note of where it goes, and then just plop it in our new visor like that. Oh, I see that styrofoam has been moved away to make room for this, but yeah, now all that's left to do is just crimp a connector onto this, connect it to the car, the wiring we installed in part 1, and we are done. The lighted mirror goes on exactly as the old one came off, 2 Phillips head screws. You'll hear it snap in at the top, because there's 2 tabs in the top. And try to tighten each screw individually rather than one all the way and then the next one all the way. So tighten one at a time, go back and forth. That'll give you a more even seat. And that's what it should look like. Wouldn't be a bad idea to wrap the connector in here in electrician's tape just to make sure it doesn't short or against the frame or anything like that. Use thicker wire if you're worried it's going to do that, so the fuse will pop and you won't start a fire. But we got lighted mirrors in a car that was not even remotely available with them. So yeah, we even got the airbag sticker on there. So really happy with this. Color doesn't quite match, but hey, this is a huge upgrade from what we had before. Any Civic driver should know that. Little tip, if they don't feel like they're snapping in or you don't hear them snapping in, if they're getting harder to turn, check your wire length and try again, because you may find that you cut it a bit short. I actually had to lengthen the one on this side. And as you might be able to notice here, I left a nice burn in my headliner, so there's another video, how to replace your headliner in a 2014 Civic. But yeah, if this isn't going in, make sure your wire is long enough. You can get it all in the frame here. You're not gonna, as long as your wiring is solid and not chafed, you can get it all in here. So yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment, shoot me a message, shoot a video response over, and I'll close with drive safe, have fun, and I'll see you in the next one. Hell yeah.